Guys, Billy Epplehart here, and I want to talk to you about something that I've had questions about that come into our office a lot. And the question is, and people will ask me something like this. This is kind of a paraphrase, but they say, Billy, how long do I have to wait? And I say, wait for what? And in most of their cases, they mean, how long do I have to wait for something to happen positive, for success for me? Some people, it's about money. Some people, it's about other things. But the question is, how long do I have to wait? And the Scripture has something to say about that. And I want to talk about today, how long do you have to wait for the things in your life? And what are some things that you do while you're actually waiting, right? While you're waiting for results, or you're waiting for something to happen that you've been expecting. And so Hebrews chapter 12 and verse 1 says, therefore we also, since we're surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which so easily ensnares us. And then here's the part I want you to hear. And let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, looking unto Jesus, the author and the finisher of our faith. And then it says, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross. So one of the things that I would say to all of us is that when we ask the question, how long do you have to wait? One way to qualify that is you first of all have to run the race, or get into the race that is set before you. So here, and I'm reading here in the New Testament, the book of Hebrews, chapter 12, it says, and let us run with endurance. One translation says patience. Another one says perseverance, the race that is set before us. So God's no respecter of persons. And what that means is that if he has a race that is my race, the race that Billy's supposed to run, then he has a race for you that you're supposed to run. And so we need to run the race that is before us. So I'm going to give you kind of a couple of classifications of the kind of races you need to be into. Number one, you need to run the race of life. Some people can never get into the race of their purpose because they, first of all, have never learned to run in a way that their life is in order, the race of life. In fact, you see some people that have just checked out on life. You see that sometimes with some of the homeless that are around. You see people sometimes that are in other places where they just haven't been able to cope with life, and they haven't been able to move forward in life. So you've got to run the race of life. In fact, Paul said in 1 Corinthians chapter 9, he said, so run your race. In other words, there's a race that's specifically set before you, and it's what I call the race at hand. So the race at hand, first of all, is the race of life. And let me say it to you this way. Many people never even get into the first phase of the race that God has called them to because they never successfully run the race of life. And let me say this about successfully running the race of life. When we talk about being successful in the race of life, we're really talking about having your life in order. And there's kind of 5 areas that I teach on that you can have your life in order. One is, there has to be some degree of order around you and your family. Doesn't have to be perfect, not perfect, just some degree of order. And what we mean by order is that you're not overly distracted. So in your family, in your friends, there's order in your feelings, order in your finances, and order in your faith. So if you take those 5 things and you begin to just get some order, not perfection, just order, it means that you'll actually get into the race of life that is set before you. Some people just live their whole life with a victim mentality, and people that end up living their life with a victim mentality never really get into the race of life, so there's enough order for them to move on. So running the race of life really should be in those 5 areas that I just mentioned. And so as you move, I call them the 5 F's, by the way. So the 5 F's, and once again, it's family, friends, finances, faith, and feelings. So I said them in a little different order, but there you have it again. And so those are the 5 F's. And so how long do you have to wait? Well, remember this, you have to wait until you get into the race of life. Now, there's several other races that I want to share with you, races that you have to run. But the first one is running the race of life with some order in your life, not perfection. And that'll help you build a foundation to get to the race of your purpose.